So we're going live a little bit earlier tonight. Man, this eye of mine is killing me off. So, the Bitcoin, bro, give me a second, man. This is just one of those itches that, when you, oh, man, it's never felt so good. Anyways, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Usually go live at around 9 o'clock, but tonight we're just doing it a little bit early because Trump's going to be talking very, very soon. Now, I've not got anything happening right now, but he's going to be having a conversation shortly unless it's been postponed or moved. But what are we talking about tonight? I am going to try and keep this live short and sweet. I say that all the time, but I never achieve a live that could be done within 20 minutes. So I am going to keep it to 20 minutes. So we're 39 seconds in talking wet, and we're just going to break it all down. So tonight, what we're talking about is the Bitcoin top in. I mean, God forbid you want to pay for Bitcoin at high prices. You don't want to, you obviously want to do that, of course. Like, it's all about Bitcoin going up and up and up so we can keep on buying the top because that's what we do. We are the highest bidder. If you want to be the highest bidder, then this live might not be for you. But I'm going to break down a logic for you all just to help you understand why maybe the Bitcoin top could be the case. We're going to dive into a little bit of the old on-chain analytics, even though I don't even like to use that stuff. But I want you to take this with not so much a pinch of salt, but have it in the back of your mind when Bitcoin makes an all-time high, and then you say to yourself, okay, then where's the flavor? Why isn't it continuing? Surely there's all this madness about Bitcoin that it should be going up. I mean, Bitcoin should have been 100K 3 years ago. But never mind. So if you are new to tonight's live, just bear with me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm going to give you my logic. If it works for you, happy days. Hit the like button. And if you want to hear some more of this madness, subscribe. But with that being said, let's break it all down. Here we go. So we're not going to talk about the 1 hour time frame for you DGen day traders. Mad love to my DGen day traders, man. We're going to go to the weekly time frame just to put things into perspective. Now, this is something that most of the holders will probably take into consideration about what's been going on. Now, in front of you, this is the weekly time frame, and you can see that from Patton's perspective, one would be of the assumption that Bitcoin is about to do the old rise, retrace, continuation to the upside. So all my technical analysts are out there thinking, yep, maybe Bitcoin is being primed for that move to get break out to 160K. We got 2.2 million per Bitcoin. I mean, these price projections are absolutely divine. Okay, let's just break it all down for you all just to help you understand what I'm looking at. If this hasn't come across your mind yet, then maybe this could help you. In front of you are the weekly time frame candlesticks, okay? What's the first thing that sticks out to you? I mean, I can't say it does stick out, but we could make the assumption that out of all of this range right here, so ignore what's going on down here, because when Bitcoin's trading back into a zone it's been before, okay, it tells us information about commitment. It tells us information about psychology. It tells us whether or not someone thinks Bitcoin cheaper is a good thing or Bitcoin expensive is a good thing. But you can see right here that this is the area where there was discount, happy days. But what I want to draw your attention to is this. Out of all these candlesticks that formed in this range and in this range, which candlestick do you think was the best performing candlestick at the all-time high? Now, if you've been picking other candles, if you've been picking this candlestick here, you were wrong. If you're picking this candlestick, you were wrong. If you're picking this candlestick, obviously not an all-time high, so you'd be wrong anyway. If you're picking maybe that is it. The only candlestick that you want to pay attention to is this one right here. This week on Bitcoin was the only week, given each time they've hit the all-time high, it's the only week that Bitcoin was able to close successfully towards its strongest point. Now, you might say, yeah, but Tino, what about this candlestick? What about this candlestick? What about this candlestick? I'm not interested in these ones. I'm focusing on the candlestick as close to its all-time high as possible. And it's this candlestick right here, okay? What is it about this candlestick that tells you it was strength? Look at it. Closing at the top percentile of its candle range. That is a very good candlestick. Now, what I'm going to reveal now is the logic that why the top may be in. Now, don't see it as, oh, you're bearish. Please stop it. This is a perspective. This is an idea. This is a logic. So that you can leave this live with the idea of saying, yep, you know what? I've got that in my mind, Tino. Thank you very much for that, bro. But I want to be the highest bidder on Bitcoin. Mad love to my highest bidders. Let's look at the candlesticks afterwards. Bitcoin hits an all-time high right here. Yeah, hits an all-time high with this candlestick. What does it do? It wicks the all-time high and then closes aggressively below it. Next candlestick comes into play, hits the all-time high aggressively, but then drops down and closes into the all-time high range. Can't close above it. We look at these candlesticks over here where we are right now. You see this candlestick? This candlestick was Bitcoin's all-time high candlestick where it cleared the nearly 100 and what was the top side? Yeah, $112,037.27. My days. What a Bitcoin all-time high. But the week couldn't even close above the all-time high ranges. Look, can't even close above it. So if you take this high right here, now puts things into perspective. It can't even close at its highest range. Following that, ladies and gentlemen, you then get this candlestick right here. Couldn't even get above the all-time high. Closes aggressively below the previous candle, which made the all-time high. Right now, we've got this candlestick that's not even been able to get above the midpoint of the previous week. Now it's currently trading below the previous week's close. So when you look at this, you say to yourself, hold on a second, T. Out of all these all-time high candlesticks, where I'm talking about these zones right here, this zone and this current zone, most of the movement in the all-time high candlestick is not at the all-time highs. It's below the candlestick ranges. Let me explain. Look at this. You see these candlesticks here? All this aggressive movement up happened before the all-time high was taken. And then the all-time high gets taken, and there's no follow-through. Logic would have it that you would want to see this candlestick as this candlestick, because that is conviction to break out. Okay? Now, let's just go to a point where Bitcoin was at its all-time high. Look at this. See this zone? That is a perfect zone. Bitcoin hits an all-time high of 73,000. Everybody's pumped. Happy days. Then what happens? You see the conviction of the candle. There it is. That's what you're looking for at all-time highs. That is a very strong candle, but it broke the previous all-time high with conviction. You look at the current all-time high breakout, and it's that measly little doji. Spinning top, whatever you want to call it. So it grants the idea that this top could be in, because we haven't seen a follow-through. Look at these candlesticks, very strong movement. But this is what I like to call a candlestick or vector candles, because usually if they're vector candles, I say it's a vector candle going up but not going anywhere. And that's what you've got right here. They're only going back into the previous zones. Now let's just try and justify it. Here, Bitcoin sellers cash out 1.5 billion in profits. So what this article goes on to say is realized profits surged to 1.5 billion on the 3rd of June, driven by aggressive selling during Bitcoin's rally. Let me say that again. Aggressive selling during Bitcoin's rally. So is it safe to say that when prices are rising, they are selling? This obviously understands something. Selling when Bitcoin's price is rallying. You don't buy it when it rises. You buy it when it's dropping, because that's what you do. Now, this is the order flow. It's dead. There's nothing going on. We don't have any significant areas of interest. You know, when I'm talking about this, you see it and it's like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? What is going on? We got some movement. S&P's taking a little bit of a tumble. Wait a second. Impromptu, ladies and gentlemen. We got some movement on the Nas. It's been doing nothing all day. And she's now awake. So let's just see what's going on. Is he talking? No. Okay, we've just had the mock data coming in. They've been selling. The Magnificent Seven have been selling today. 119 million on sell side, buy side 34 million. Okay, so this usually happens towards 9 o'clock anyways. It's the last moment where the futures markets are effectively just filing in their orders before the stock market closes, and this is what usually ends up happening. Now, anyways, besides that, going back into it, with the logic of Bitcoin and the all-time highs. The article does go on to talk about how the actual sellers are short-term Bitcoin holders, okay? Well, who's short-term Bitcoin holders? All right, the guys in crypto from before, when we're not talking about those guys, dormant wallets are starting to wake up and they're starting to take some profits as well. But short-term holders, these are the guys who are new off the street, the fat boys, like, let's pick up a few Bitcoin and let's sell it now that it's made a 3-4% gain. Remember, institutional investors, hedge funds, they are happy with achieving at least 0.5% or even 1% at the end of a quarter, even at the end of a year. So if you're picking up 3-4% move on Bitcoin and you're buying $100 million worth of it, you can appreciate that that is a nice little return for a hedge fund. It all adds up, ladies and gentlemen. But according to this article here, it says that most of the sellers are short-term holders. So that means your guys coming into the game of cryptocurrency have Wall Street mentality, legacy market mentality. If they can generate yield, they're going to get out. Now, let me just bring it back to the chart on Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, on what I'm calling what could be the idea of hidden psychological resistance. I've coined a new concept, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a new concept. It's just no one is prepared to buy Bitcoin at those prices. Or should I say, there's not enough of the biggest players buying up the Bitcoin. Ask yourself this question. For every time the ETF keeps on making a high, BlackRock all of a sudden comes in and dumps a load of Bitcoin because it's being triggered by Wall Street. People are selling the ETF. Okay, the balance was 662. Now it's gone down to 659. Having a look at that balance right now, it's 659,892. So every so often they load up on the ETF, and then whoever sees that the ETF has gone up in value, they end up clawing it back and taking some profits. So going back into the idea of what could be the top for Bitcoin. This is the weekly time frame. If Bitcoin cannot finish this week positive on the weekly time frame, so that means that it has to get above 105,621, then ladies and gentlemen, we could be in for a wild ride. Now, with that being said, going into the calendar, let's just make the assumption that Bitcoin is being receptive to data that's coming out across the globe. So for the US, the ISM PMI came in at 49.9. We saw the NASDAQ take a nosedive for it to only end up coming back up, for it to only give it all back right now, coming back into the VWAP. Just quickly going over to the NASDAQ to have a look at that. We can see that the NASDAQ is just pretty much misbehaving. The NASDAQ, it's been very, very boring. It's been a horrible range. Like, look at this behavior, up and down. It's very compressed. And I'm telling you now, Platinum members, you're going to get more success trading Asian session ranges than you are the New York ranges. I'll tell you why. Because the New York ranges are being set based on someone saying something or news announcements coming out. And whenever someone says something, especially Trump, when he starts running his mouth about what he thinks about one thing or the other, that can have an impact on the marketplace. Man, I miss Biden so much, man. I miss him so much. How many of you miss Biden? Not from a political standpoint, from how calm the markets could be. He's the only president that when he was speaking, the market was rallying because they were like, he ain't going to say anything that can rock the marketplace. Man, he wasn't even able to get his words out. How could the market react to anything when he was mumbling and sleeping 90% of the time? He was the best president for the United States markets, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I've said it. He was the best president. Anyways, with that being said, my argument for Bitcoin top is this, okay? If you've got Wall Street coming into cryptocurrency, they're going to maintain legacy market mentality. That means if a yield is generated, they're going to take it, okay? Park the idea of what Bitcoin is to you guys and to me. We love the idea of Bitcoin, but Wall Street likes the idea or loves the idea of the yield it can generate when it goes from one point to the next. And when you transition your way of thinking about cryptocurrency like that, then you then put yourself into a position and say, am I really in it for the tech? Because I think the idea of in it for the tech is for the guys that bought Bitcoin back when it was 5 cents. Those are the guys that are in it for the tech. If you're coming into cryptocurrency now and buying Bitcoin because you're in it for the tech, you deserve to get slapped across the face, because the irony of Bitcoin right now is it was meant to be decentralized. One of your largest holders is BlackRock. what the money heist, I'm telling you now. It's a Bitcoin heist. That's what I'm saying. Double topped, learn charts. Oh my days. I know it's a double top, my brother. Okay, I know that it's a double top. I tell you what, I wouldn't have wasted 16 minutes of your time to tell you it's a double top. We know it's a double top, okay, but we can't just look at it as it's a double top. Why aren't people buying? Because they're not buying, they're selling. And when there's sellers that are like, you know what, we don't want it to go up anymore because we want to try and get a bit of a discount, we'll then try and mark it lower. It's easy to say it's a double top. Like, yeah, that's the simple thing. I want to try and get you to understand some logic behind it. They're selling aggressively, and the selling was paused and the all-time high was taken and it couldn't even stay above it. Yep, that looks like the all-time high for 2025. No, it's not. Again, do you want to be the highest bidder? If you want to be the highest bidder in Bitcoin, happy days. Go and buy it now. And then do not complain, but then pull out the old, I'm doing DCA. So Bitcoin from 104 could end up going all the way down to 67, and you're still rolling with the DCA. From 67, it goes down to 54. Then we go down to 44,000. God forbid we go to 38,000. You're still running the DCA story. And I'm only saying this just to demonstrate a point, but that's what they did when Bitcoin hit 69. They rode it all the way down to 16,000, and they were still running the DCA story. You DCA on a market moving up. Don't fall for the fact that, yes, Bitcoin is a supply and it's going to go and it's going to go, but you've got Wall Street still preventing it, because for every time they accumulate the ETF, investors step in and sell it, and then they pull it straight back. They just put the Bitcoin back. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's the same Bitcoin. That's the crazy thing. They buy the Bitcoin, put it into a wallet, and then they release it back out. So why does price go up and down? Doesn't make sense. You know? Selling on low volume, even worse. Gerben, exactly. We are selling on low volume. Look, NASDAQ, where's my, look, 3 distribution days, 2 on the S&P and 3 on the NASDAQ. That's a problem. Let's quickly have a look at it. What time are we on? 18 minutes. Okay, cool. 2 more minutes and we'll be out. Hold on. Wait for it. There you go. Another day. Dead volume. I'm going to call it. I'm calling it now. Unless something significant happens with the tariffs, okay? I'm calling it now. Unless something significant happens with the tariffs, where Trump wakes up one morning and says, nope, we're not going to have any tariffs, okay? The markets are going to be primed to come down. Everyone's looking for this massive crash. I'm not looking for a massive crash. I'm looking for a correction. Why? Because the macros and price action are not marrying to the idea of a bullish market. When the value of the ETF market starts to drop, you've got a bull market. But the value of the ETF market is escalating above 7.5 trillion. That is a problem. The last time I mentioned that, ladies and gentlemen, it was at 6 trillion. Now we're at 7.5 trillion. And I mentioned that only a few months ago. So we can safely say that people are putting money into ETFs to diversify their exposure because they're concerned about what the story is moving forward. You've got Bank of Japan's debt problem with them holding so much debt, and their yields today have shot up. The 10-year yield shot up nearly 1.5% trading. No, what is it up today? Hold on a second. Japanese 10-year yield is up nearly 2%, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this is not good news. Going over to the 10-year bond market, that's coming up. Thank God the bonds are coming up. People are buying right now because they're expecting that the interest rates are going to be cut. And the word is that possibly we are going to get 2 rate cuts this year. Maybe 2 25 basis point cuts, which in my opinion is dead for the market, which would take us down to 4%. Now, the problem that I've got, ladies and gentlemen, is stocks right now being deemed overvalued. You saw what happened to Apple. They received a downgrade. So then when we put that logic together in the charts, we can then say, okay, then Bitcoin being volatile, there's a possibility that Bitcoin is going to break down if we don't get any good news. But if we do get good news, because the deals with China and Europe, then we don't know what the story is. And this delay in the tariffs is fueling the market to go up. Because if they don't know what's going on, they're just going to put their money to work and hope for the best. But the volume's not there. The volume isn't there for accumulation. So if it's not there for accumulation, then we're going to get to a point where price is actually going to react. And you could get caught out. So all I'm saying to you guys is, if you believe that, and this is what I hate, the fact that they sell the idea of Bitcoin being cheap at these price points. Yeah, it will be cheap when it shoots up to 500,000. Yeah, but come on, you're at an all-time high. If Wall Street keeps buying the all-time high, then for God's sake, man, the markets are broken. It doesn't work. But just backing it with the logic, there's no offers or bids. Look, there's no one putting any liquidity up. And prices coming down, they're selling, coming down. This is what you want to see. You want to see these things right here, but we're not seeing it over here. So that's a bit of a problem for me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, on the mark. When they say buy side, sell side, which side is which? Would understand buy side to be below price. That's it. Buy side was below price. Yeah, buy side was 34 million. Sell side was 113 or something. They will do a rate spike. Okay. Anything else? Have you liked the stream? Keeping it short and sweet. Yep. Have you liked the stream? Yes, no. Everyone is running scared. The world is out of money. We all poor now. Yeah, that makes sense. Speculation, accumulation. The world is out of money. Yep. Tino, can you look at CDRW? No, never mind. Forget technical analysis. Focus on the US news. That is pretty much the case. It really is. It really is. Just focus on the news. Tino, if you're calling the top now on Bitcoin, what do you think about ETH? Soonish. Institutions will soon be allowed to stake ETH and earn yield. Well, is Coinbase still the largest holder of ETH? That's the question. Yo, who said QBTS? Yeah. Long term, yeah. In my opinion. Yeah. Anything related to quantum computing is like as if you were getting into the first day that Google was listed on the stock market. Okay? That's my opinion on quantum computing. Anything related to quantum computing, snap it up. That's not financial advice. That's common sense because it's the next thing that is evolving. It's the only thing that we can see developing. They're saying it's too many light years away. No, it's not because AI is fast. Tech is fast. Okay? Quantum computing, in my opinion, is something that you really want to be taking into consideration. Pump coming tomorrow, Tino. Pop to 115K area, then down to 88, 93, followed by 150K. Not enough room for me to explain why here, though. Do you know what? If there is a pump tomorrow, there's a pump tomorrow, and hopefully there is a pump tomorrow. With the data that's been coming out, with, unemployment claims we've got coming out, and the ISM, if the market is reacting to this information, then it's going to be unlikely we're going to get a pump. You know, but I hope it is a pump. I hope we do get a pump. But Bitcoin needs to clear 617 for it to give me the idea that Bitcoin is on the trajectory to keep climbing up. It needs to break above that point. If it doesn't do it this week, then Bitcoin's coming down. And how long for? It could come down to 94. It could come down to 90. Who knows? But what I'm trying to say to you is it's all stacking up to the idea that only a little while ago, we had this at 662 last week. Why has it then been pulled back? If the idea that they're going to believe that Bitcoin's price is going up, why are participants selling so much Bitcoin ETF? Why are you releasing it now that Bitcoin's at the highs? Maybe something's going to happen. We don't know. But you've got non-farm payrolls, which will dictate whether or not Bitcoin is going to make the move to the upside. We really need to see a treacherous reading on non-farm employment, a horrible reading, which will be the catalyst to send Bitcoin up, because everyone will be like, damn, this is not good. We should get the interest rates to get cut. If that doesn't make them cut, then you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I won't even do any FOMC anymore. I really won't, because it'd be pointless listening to them. And that's a fact. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. I've gone beyond 20 minutes. Take care of yourselves. Hit the like button. Subscribe on the way out. Platinum members, I've got a video coming out to you very, very shortly. All right? Take care of yourselves, gang. Mad love and respect. Peace.